You don't just imagine what could go wrong, you feel it. Before the message is sent, you already see it being misunderstood. Before the plan begins, you already see it falling apart. Before someone leaves, you've already rehearsed the goodbye. And the strange part? You don't do it because you're negative. You do it because you're trying to be ready. But what if I told you this habit isn't random? It's a pattern. And if you constantly think in worst-case scenarios, there are 5 very specific traits quietly shaping your mind. Let's start here. You send a simple message. Hey, are you free later? 5 minutes pass. No reply. Most people, they shrug, maybe check their phone once. You've already gone through at least 7 alternate realities. Maybe they're mad. Maybe you said something wrong yesterday. Maybe they're losing interest. Maybe something bad happened. Maybe you're about to be ghosted. Maybe, okay, now you're checking if they're online. You open the chat, close it, open it again. You don't even realize it, but your brain just turned a neutral moment into an emotional roller coaster. And it doesn't stop there. You prepare for conversations before they happen. You rehearse arguments you might never have. You think of backup plans for plans that aren't even confirmed yet. You call it being prepared. But deep down, it feels more like bracing for impact. And if that sounds familiar, you're not overreacting, you're patterned. Psychology has a name for this. It's closely linked to something called catastrophic thinking. Your brain scans for potential danger and then magnifies it. Not because it wants to hurt you, but because it wants to protect you. There's also something called the negativity bias. Your mind naturally gives more weight to negative possibilities than positive ones. Think of it like this. Your brain is that one overly dramatic friend who says, if we don't bring snacks, we might die. It's not accurate, but it's trying in its own chaotic way. And for some people, this system becomes hyperactive, especially if you've learned at some point in your life that things can go wrong without warning. So your mind adapts. It starts predicting problems before they happen. Because in your experience, being unprepared hurt more than being anxious. The first trait, you notice patterns other people miss. A slight change in tone, a delayed reply, a different kind of silence. You pick up on microsignals like your brain has a built-in detective mode. And honestly, sometimes you're right. That's what makes this trait tricky. Because it works just enough to reinforce itself. But here's the catch. Your brain doesn't just detect patterns, it completes them, even when the data is incomplete. So one small shift becomes a full-blown conclusion. They replied late becomes, they don't care anymore. It's like reading one page of a book and confidently guessing the tragic ending. Sometimes you're accurate, but a lot of the time you're just filling in blanks with fear. Second trait, you try to mentally control outcomes by preparing for every possible one. You think, if I imagine everything that could go wrong, I won't be caught off guard. So you simulate scenarios. Worst case first. Always break up conversations. Embarrassing moments. Failure situations. You don't want these things to happen. You just don't want to be surprised. But here's the irony. The more you try to control uncertainty, the more uncertain everything feels. Because life doesn't follow scripts, and no matter how many mental rehearsals you do, there's always something unpredictable. So instead of feeling prepared, you feel exhausted, like you've lived 10 stressful lives before lunchtime. Third trait, you believe that thinking more means being safer, so you analyze everything, replay conversations, break down tone, reconstruct moments. Your brain says, if we think hard enough, we'll find the answer. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Not everything has an answer. Some things are just uncertain. And overthinking doesn't eliminate uncertainty. It just stretches it. It turns a simple question into a 45-minute internal debate. It's like opening 37 tabs in your brain and forgetting which one started the problem. And somehow, they're all still loading. Pause for a second. Ask yourself this honestly. How many things I worried about this week actually happened? Not imagined, not feared, actually happened. If you're like most people who think this way, the number is surprisingly low, but the feeling still heavy. Because your mind doesn't distinguish well between this might happen and this is happening. It reacts the same, and that's exhausting. Fourth trait. At some point, you learn that things can fall apart unexpectedly. Maybe someone left without explanation. Maybe trust was broken. Maybe stability wasn't stable. So your brain adapted. It said, never again. So now you anticipate loss. You prepare for disappointment, not because you're pessimistic, but because you've experienced what it feels like to be unprepared. And that experience rewired something in you. Now, hope feels risky, but expectation of the worst feels safer, even if it hurts. Fifth trait, you care more than you show. That's the part people often misunderstand. They think you're distant, or overly serious, or too much in your head. But the truth, you're thinking this way because things matter to you, people matter, outcomes matter, relationships matter. So your brain tries to protect what you value by imagining how it could be lost. It's not coldness, it's hidden attachment. You just don't always express it out loud. Instead, you process it internally, deeply, constantly. Here's the twist most people never realize. Your worst-case thinking isn't actually about negativity, it's about protection. Your mind is trying to build emotional armor. But somewhere along the way, the armor got too heavy. Instead of protecting you, it's weighing you down because you're not just preparing for life, you're pre-living the pain over and over again. Think about it. You imagine the worst-case scenario before a presentation. You walk in already stressed, like the failure already happened. Then the presentation goes fine. Not amazing, not terrible, just normal, and your brain goes, okay, but next time we prepare harder, or you meet someone new. They seem nice, genuine, but your brain whispers, don't get too comfortable. So instead of enjoying the moment, you're scanning for red flags, like you're in a psychological escape room. Clue 1, they took 12 minutes to reply, suspicious. Clue 2, they said haha instead of haha, even more suspicious. At some point, your brain turns into a detective investigating crimes that haven't happened. Pause again. What would your life feel like if you didn't assume the worst? Not blindly positive, just neutral. Not every silence is rejection. Not every delay is loss. Not every unknown is danger. What if some things are just unfinished stories? If you see yourself in these traits, you're not broken, but you are carrying a system that learned to survive a little too well. Your mind became excellent at predicting pain. Now the challenge isn't to shut it off, it's to gently remind it, not everything needs protection. Some moments are safe to experience as they are, without rewriting the ending, without bracing for impact, just living them. Because the truth is, life will surprise you sometimes, but not always in the ways you fear. And if you keep expecting the worst, you might miss the quiet moments where things actually turn out okay, and maybe that's a possibility worth considering too.